Everyone, this is Ken Clegg with Eat and Drink Real Estate. We have our special guest, Nancy Awali. Nancy, welcome to the show. You're with Inclusion Homes of Keller Williams Infinity. How long have you been working there?
Well, thank you for having me. I have been at that wonderful brokerage for 4 years now.
4 years, great.
Yeah. And, their landscape, their education, their training, it's just a really great place to be, for sure.
A lot of people have questions about what's happening in our marketplace, especially as many of us, we start saving for a home, maybe get our first home and going to our second one. A lot of people don't have that perspective. You've been in the industry for how long now?
I've been in real estate for probably about 25 years, but as, this current position, it has been about 7 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go all the way back to the beginning, but let's go back. And I think if you can condense this and give people a good perspective, what's the difference between the real estate market today versus, say, 20 years ago?
Good question. 20 years ago was 2005. The landscape has undergone a significant amount of changes in the past 20 years. And I mean, some of the big ones are technology. So technology, obviously 2005 compared to 2025, we really started seeing the uptick of the internet and virtual tours when it comes to how houses are bought and sold. Just in general, technology has really made a big difference in the dynamics of the market. And the 2008 financial crisis, that definitely significantly changed the market and leading to more stringent lending practices. Definitely has made a big change in how things are done now compared to how they were done back then. So really, in general, the market has extremely changed. A big one right now is demographics. We all have kids or deal with the Gen Zers and the millennials of the world. And, it's different with how their expectations are. They like maybe the urban areas a little bit better than the rural areas. And it is the financial strain is also a big change because what millennials and Gen Zs may be making in salaries right now is not keeping pace to how much the housing market is increasing in cost. So there's quite a few changes in that market.
Of course there has, and we look back, and I look back in my own career over the past 20 years, we saw, 05, we had kind of normalized conditions, but things really got really exciting because it was, we saw the immersion of subprime lending and then the collapse of subprime lending in 08 and just flooded the market with foreclosures, short sales, distressed properties galore. It was hard to find a property that still had equity in it. They were all these distressed property events. And now we see a new form of stress, and that is, higher interest rates, right? Where people don't want to leave the lower interest rate for a higher one. And of course, the income keeping up with the value of a skyrocketing value of homes. Yes. So there's a lot of challenges out there for these individuals.
Without a doubt. The generation that's entering the market mostly right now is that what we talked about, the millennials, and now followed by the Gen Zers. And, their whole perspective on everything is just a little bit different. And the biggest thing affecting them right now is the affordability. It does come down to, of course, interest rates like we talked about, but also just values of homes, not keeping pace. So the big thing is with that crash, whatever we want to talk about, the lending, subprime, now with those stringent rules that are out there, you do definitely need a good team on your side, a good agent, a good lender to really be able to walk you through that, because otherwise you may not know that in order to get decent rates, you need a certain credit score, you need certain debt to income ratios, which have also increased since the time in the past. So it's definitely been interesting to understand this current landscape and to deal with it with the demographics. Even COVID-19, that has made a big impact on, again, the timing, the generation we're dealing with, because there is a lot more remote work, and they may be looking for a property that is larger, that has home offices. On the same token, they might want something downtown, something a little bit more exciting. So just being able to understand the market and dealing with what they could afford and what they can't and what they could get approved for is an obstacle.
Okay. Well, when looking at millennials, many already own their first home. They're starting a family. I mean, what are some of the impetuses for them? Because people are still buying and selling homes right now. I know right now it's June 20th. There's about 45,000 homes that have been bought and sold here in Chicago and the 6-color county this year in 2025. What are some of the reasons that millennials are telling, this is a reason I want to move, regardless of interest rate, regardless of the home values, I need to move? What are the things that are really triggering them to move right now?
Oh, so many things. A lot of it is at this age group, it's increasing their family, their dynamics. They're having more kids. Their kids right now on that age group are starting schools. What kind of schools are they going to be entering? Am I near recreation? Am I near parks? Am I near activities for my children? Am I near my aging parents? I mean, at that point, you kind of think, I need to figure something out. I need to move there. So it is a little bit of a different dynamic. My millennial clients are selling a lot more right now. They did maybe buy their first condo in the city. Now they wanted to move out to the suburbs. COVID-19 came. They needed the space. They needed the office. Now they're like, okay, my kids have started schools. So to be in touch with these people and kind of understand their family dynamics and, sell. If you need to go somewhere else, sell, because there is that place that's perfect for you at any point in your life.
Yeah, and that's the overriding thing. I think that people, they see a lot of blockers out there, but if they have someone who knows the market and knows their needs and knows how to match those needs with the property, they get to that point of where they're happier. Absolutely. And this is life. Real estate is about life as well, and where you're at with your family and where you're staged in your life. And I think it's interesting you brought up aging parents. You see that next phase in their life and part of your life, and being close to them, I think, is important too.
Yeah, so without a doubt. My parents live 3 miles away from me, and I'm very happy about that.
that is very fortunate. I'm sure they like that you're close.
They do, absolutely. They do.
Okay, the next one's on the lending center. So what lending changes have occurred in recent years that are affecting our Gen Z population and the millennials?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit about what we mentioned before. The debt to income ratio has increased, just scrutiny in general on how these banks are divvying out money. I remember when I actually bought my home in 2006, right before the crash, and it was an interest-only loan. How exciting, interest-only. Those don't really exist anymore. Right. So, it was definitely...
At the tail end of the madness, right?
Yeah, yes. Exactly. So, I mean, now you do need, like I said, just somebody on your side who's able to tell you that this is what you need, and here is a good person to help you get into that house no matter what the situation you're in, or here are the things you need to improve. So, there's things like credit scores. Sure, you may be able to get one with a little bit lower credit score, but where are you going to get the best rates? How are you going to get the best terms? And being in real estate for several years, I have these strong lenders by my side as well who are able to help in situations like that.
Right. And I think a good point is, and you're asking the difference between lending between millennials today, because if they let's say they already own a property, they want to be assured that when I sell my property, I'm going to be able to buy another one. What are those conditions that I need to meet? And it's not the same than they were just even 7 years ago. They have changed. Those guidelines have changed, and they need to know exactly what they are, and what the costs are, and what that next payment's going to look like.
So I run my business as though I'm a real estate advisor, not a real estate agent. I want you made such a good point about it changing even 7 years ago. Honestly, changing even 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Like, you do need someone to be able to tell you what these changes are and how you could roll with the punches. When you're actually ready to sell your home, and not ready meaning next month, you're a year or two away, whatever it is, you need to be able to have that discussion with your advisor so that they can tell you, okay, if you're planning to buy a house that's $100,000 more or in another state or whatever it is, here are the steps you need to take to ensure that you're put in a good situation when that time comes. There's a lot of steps. There really is something that you kind of need to think, okay, I need to get my ducks in a row. Here's the interest I'm paying now. Here's what the equity that I expect now or 12 months from now out of that house to get into a new one. So lots of different factors that go into that.
Well, I think that's important that you brought up the fact that thinking it through to the next step and, giving people an idea, well, how long are you planning on being in this home? And what is going to be your next move? Well, I'm going to be here probably 5 to 7 years. Well, let's give you a little bit of a forecast what we think that may look like. And so you're prepared for that next change in your life, because change is always occurring in our life. Yeah. And having a good advisor like yourself is going to help people reach those and experience success or versus frustration and stress.
Nothing is constant but change, right?
You are correct. You are correct. Nancy, do you have any other questions or information?
I don't. Thank you for letting me share some of that.
Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Nancy, for being on the show today. And again, please stick around for just a couple more seconds. You'll be able to scan Nancy's QR code. She'll have your contact information where you can answer any buyer seller questions that you may have.